Hey guys, Warlock here. So, I want to do another video on builds since the last one, I got some pretty good reviews on it, so I want to try another one, and one that's more personal to me. So, talk about Witcher 3 for a second, what it means to me. It's by far my favorite book series, and at least Witcher 3 is in my top 5 favorite games. The world's amazing, story's great, characters, I really like the characters. They're all diverse, all good in their own ways, and I like the whole idea of just a character that tries to never take the lesser of two evils. He always tries to stay neutral and do what he thinks is right. I like that. And Geralt, I just feel so bad for him at times, and I love him. Just seeing the emotional journey he goes through between him and Ciri. And Ciri's probably my favorite female character of all time, just being perfectly honest. So, making a Witcher build is something that I've always considered because I always like the Monster Hunter idea. Like, the Monster Hunter games are amazing because I like that idea of just, man, fighting these overwhelming odds of giant creatures. Like in fairy tales, I always thought that was cool. Just the underpowered human goes against these incredible odds and wins. I always like that. So I like the idea of Witcher, where it's these people that go beyond human to make themselves able to fight monsters, and it's a cool idea. So, that is what I really want to hint on, because D&D does that a lot, and while there's not really the best build for it in D&D, I did find a homebrew on Tumblr that actually is a really good one in my opinion. I'll leave a link in the description below. So, but what we could do in D&D 5e terms is what I'm going to go over today. So there's a few different ways you could do this actually, and I'd say Warlock, Paladin, Ranger, all stuff you could argue would work, but reasons I don't say them is Warlock, they're too magic based and not really enough sword based. Paladin's enough sword based and balanced with magic, but their magic comes from religion, and that's not really what Geralt is, and also their attacks really just enhance their blade strikes that are not really magic, you know? And Rangers mainly specialize in ranged, and there wasn't really any ranged combat for Geralt aside from his spells until he got to Witcher 3 and they added the crossbow in, which is a feature I liked. I thought the crossbow was neat. So, what class I think works best for that is Fighter, and Eldritch Knight in particular. So, reason behind it is fighters, or like I said before, the class that can do anything, plus Eldritch Knight, it's just enough magic, in my opinion, to be just about right for Geralt. So, honestly, the way Lambert in particular described magic in the book was Witchers know spells that are like just the simplest to use, and they just use it for utility and just the fact that they have an edge on some things. And that's kind of like cantrips are in D&D, honestly. So, that's a little bit why I was arguing Warlock there, but like I said, too much spell, not enough that. But so, Eldritch Knight in particular are what are called half-casters, so they're not really a full caster. They mainly rely on their actual fighting prowess to set their spells, so I thought that'd be just enough. And how much you use your spells is up to you, so what I'd recommend, first, race. So, honestly, human would be the best option. Just talk to your DMs like, hey, this character's supposed to live an incredible long time, so could we do something with that? And what I did in my circumstance was, how this even came about was my brother-in-law was over one day and he saw Witcher 3 and wanted to try it out, so I let him, and he loved it. He absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, naturally, why wouldn't he? But we were just about to start this new campaign, and he said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to make Geralt. He is so cool. And I'm like, sure, let's do it. So we worked on him together, and we built this fighter, and he loved it. And that's what he used for, I want to say 2 years, and he loved it. And it worked really well. I feel like we got a good success out of it. So what we really did was, me personally, I took like some aspects of elf and mixed it with human and kind of made my own homebrew race, in my opinion. Like what I did was, human, he got human benefits, but he could do the elven trance ability. So he had that, and I gave him the lifespan of a half-elf, because I don't know if it's ever really recorded how long a Witcher can live, since Witchers never die in their beds. So I figured 180 years for a half-elf would be a solid age. And that's about all I gave him, was to make it simple, because he went variant human. He didn't do all the +1s, so yeah. And as far as the actual background goes, what I'd recommend, if you want to do the full Witcher, alchemy and everything, Guild Artisan. Because Guild Artisan is one of few I think of, or the only I think, that just going by the pure book backgrounds, you have access to alchemist tools as a background. So there's that. And there's other backgrounds that work as well, like I'd say researcher, soldier would work as well, but you want the tools. That's what I'd say is your best bet. So, as far as the actual class itself goes, so things I would recommend when it comes to building. At first level, when you pick your fighting style, there's 2 fighting styles that would work. And what I recommend is great weapon fighting, which is when you roll 1 or 2 in the damage die on attack you make with a melee weapon, when you're wielding 2 hands, you can re-roll the die and you must use the new roll. So, with Geralt always using a 2-handed longsword, that works perfectly for him, because that's mainly the fighting style you're going to be using if you want to do the pure Witcher build, unless you want to do like a cat or viper Witcher, whatever. But going by Geralt, he'd be 2-weapon fighting. The one he used, actually, and his argument for this made sense, he took defense, which is why you're wearing armor, you gain a +1 bonus to AC. Because he said, well, Geralt dodges all the time, so I want to be able to do that. And that made sense to me, so I couldn't really argue with that. So either one of them would really work. Then all your other abilities, they kind of come naturally, like you get second wind as well at first level, then you get your action surge. Geralt's done some incredible feats of strength, so action surge makes sense, which is where you can take 2 actions and bonus actions in 1 turn. It doesn't make sense as fast as Geralt can move sometimes. And at 3rd level, that's where everything starts to matter, because the rest of the character kind of flows naturally from there. You just get stuff as you go on, and all of them I think fit Geralt pretty well, like Indomitable, being able to reroll saving throws and stuff like that. But then when you get to Eldritch Knight, that's when things start to really hype in, and you really get to go for your build diversity here. So when it comes to spells, what I definitely recommend is, first off, you start out with 2 cantrips. And the unfortunate thing is, I have to preface this, I probably go pronounce these spells wrong. But I couldn't really find a good spell for Yrden. Like, the only ones that made sense to me would be cleric spells, and I couldn't find a good way to really get them, so that's something you really have to talk to your DM about, see if you can have access to spells, because, like, Glyph of Warding's the only spell I could think of that really worked for Yrden. Other than that, not really. But I was able to find some suitable replacements, in my opinion, for Quinn, Igni, Arid, and Axii. So, first off, as cantrips go, there's a few options you have, actually, and it depends on how you want to go, because, that's how Geralt works in the first place, is he picks spells that really work to how you want to do, and you upgrade them from there. So the 4 cantrips I'd really recommend are Blade Ward, Firebolt, Shocking Grasp, Thunderclap, or Friends. Friends being your charm spell that you can possibly use to talk your way out of social situations. Firebolt, Igni, it's a distant fire spell. Shocking Grasp, I'm not an expert on this, but I saw like Geralt seemed to have some kind of like electric attacks in Witcher 2, so that's where I got that from. And Blade Ward, that would be kind of like your Quinn spell early level and help you be more defensive. And Thunderclap, your Arid, push people back. So, and then at first level, this is where things get more tricky, because when it comes to Eldritch Knights, they don't have really access to evocation and abjuration spells, and those 2 schools of magic in particular are shields and damaging spells. So it works for most of Geralt's magic, but not all of it. So one I'd recommend is you get 3 first level spells you can pick from, and what those are 2 that have to fall along that spell tree, but 1 that doesn't. Total, you get like 4 spells that do not fall into those categories. You can get them from anywhere. What I recommend is taking Charm Person with that first one, because that one is most like Axii to me when it comes to the charm last a while Friends only last like a minute, so it wouldn't be the best when it comes to Geralt's charm effects. And other spells that work when it comes to late game, all the fire spells like Fireball, Burning Hand, stuff like that will work for your upgrades and ignies and stuff. Thunder Wave is a really good one. It's basically Arid since you push people back. Eldritch Blast is also a good one, but you'd have to take the feat to get it when it comes to Magical Adept Warlock and take the Warlock spell for that, so that doesn't work as well, unfortunately. And also Shield and Absorb Element are really big, since those are like your big Quinn spells, and those are really what I recommend Eldritch Knights focus on, is being up there, tanking, putting the shield on, being so hard to hit. Yeah. And that's about it. The rest of it goes normal, and everything works good, except at level 15 you get an ability called Arcane Charge, and when you use your action surge, you can teleport up to 60 foot. Oh, it's up to 30 foot. My bad. When you before or after you use your action surge, so that would not match Geralt at all. But he takes some liberties with it, you know. Maybe this Geralt likes it, you know, or just be a Witcher in general. So that's about it. That's the best I can really put it, and I hope y'all like it. And I'd like to do another video actually talk about the story I did with it, because I actually implemented the Witcher world in my game, and it turned out extraordinarily well. I loved it. I mean, it was so fun actually kind of taking aspects of the story and making them my own. Like, I definitely used them in original ways. I didn't rip them straight from the book, but it was just every now and then like a background NPC would just be a call to Witcher, just kind of be a nice tie-in for me. Or I didn't have a name for a character I liked, where it's like, oh, it's a traveling minstrel? Dandelion. Yeah, just stuff like that. And yeah, that's about it. So, thank you guys. If you want any more like these, or want to know any other builds you'd like me to work on, just let me know. Any other recommendations or stuff you want me to do, leave in the comments. Appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.